you're pro-life. I fucking hate you. Why can't women have abortions? I just saw a pro-life sign driving down the road having a mental breakdown. And I just want to say, all you people are you're so fucking stupid.
I get it. I don't like the two-party system. I think our country's corrupt, and quite frankly, I don't want to vote for Biden. It feels like voting for a Republican. But I'm gonna do it! You wanna know why?
Why?
Because the alternative is a fascist! A fascist is a fascist! Maybe we can have the conversation about dismantling the two-party system when a fascist isn't running! Maybe we can do that later, kiddo! Champ! Chief! Maybe we can talk about it later!
It's happening, men. Women are getting worse. New data has been released recently which proves what we've been saying for a long time. Women are becoming more liberal in...
You know what's wild being in Eastern Europe? It really does feel like the last bastion of Western norms and traditions, because those people there that have now modernized or on the verge of modernizing actually lived through communism, lived through tyranny, lived through dictatorships. Living members of my family were alive back then. It's not some distant thing you read in history. They have the stories of how their lives used to be. Not my grandparents, but my uncles, a lot of them, one got imprisoned for religious reasons because you weren't allowed to go to the church and get together and protest about anything. Just religion was banned. So he came to the United States as a religious refugee. My other uncle got caught with currencies, I believe it was. Anyways, he got imprisoned and put into a chain gang. That's right, where he's forced to go into hard labor. Father's also been arrested. Other uncles from other parts of the family. I mean, they would arrest you, pull you over on the side. Not pull you over, sorry. They see you walking and they would ask you for your paper. What are you doing on the side of the road? Don't you have a job? Show me your paperwork. They would demand paperwork to see if you had a job. If you didn't have a job, your ass is going to jail. And for God knows how long. And then you had the secret police where they were spying on everybody. And then even your neighbors were snitching you out to gain favor with them, to be good little rats. Man, you have no idea what fascism really is. These people that live in America, which is a bubble filled with opulence, filled with opportunity, the land of opportunity, really, where you can and go make money, where nobody's shaking down your business. The system, even in a broken form that it is today, works much better than some of the corruption you see out in Eastern Europe to this day. Even a broken America functions better than a lot of the countries in the world right now. This is what Americans don't understand. The people complaining have never faced brutal regimes, oppressive, tyrannical governments, have never been in the systems they're advocating for. All these like metro commies, that's what I like to call them. You know how they said metrosexuals for the New Age men? These are what these are, metro commies, New Age metro socialists that don't understand that these systems that they're advocating for are so repressive and destructive. So regular working class people, it only benefits the few at the top, because when you factor in the reality of human nature and the corruption, the greed, the hoarding of power, the wanting to see your own kin, the nepotism that happens with this total power, total control. Until you've seen that, you would never be caught in a million years advocating. Everybody in the eastern part of Europe is looking at Americans in the West, talking about communism, Marxism, socialism, all these things that they've fought so hard to get over. They're looking at this and going, what the hell are you guys talking about? You have no idea what you're trying to champion here. And yet, when you look at it from the lens of the United States, you always notice that it's a certain portion of the population that's really pushing hard for this stuff. They're almost always blonde. They're almost always women. They're almost always from the upper class. Isn't that crazy? The ones that are going to be the most disconnected from the realities of these systems are the ones that are vying for them the hardest. It's like virtue signaling. It's like a luxury belief. They have nothing to do with their lives because they live in the most safest, most opulent, most opportunistic country that there ever was. If an opportunity is around you, it's there for the taking. There's nothing holding you back. There's nothing systemically tying you down like there is in other countries. It's sad to see. And this can only be happening from the outside in. I mean, there has to be external forces, and there is. I mean, it's not the most popular thing to say out loud, and probably especially not on this platform, but there are multinational organizations that are pushing for a new global order, which involves stripping away the most basic rights Americans enjoy that have made their country great. I mean, my perspective, the Bill of Rights is one of the greatest documents ever created, but day by day by day, it's slowly being chipped away and destroyed through uses of emergency powers, global pandemics and eventual wars that are coming. I mean, they're already basically grooming and preparing everybody in Europe as a whole for World War III. They're going to ask, and I'm going to do an episode on this soon, ask normal men, everyday men, the very ones that they neglect, discard, and demonize in society today, to sacrifice their lives for conflicts far away in never-ending wars for which they will not benefit from. It is coming. We are being positioned already to accept a wider war with Russia. I'll get into that much later. We'll keep this on dating, but average men will be called upon to sacrifice for countries that do not love them back. Now let's see what happens when men are starting to choose their own paths in life, because I can't even say what those initials stand for in this title of this episode because it automatically gets yellowed, as in no advertisements get shown, demonetized. Yes.
In the US, which means that they are becoming less
Unbelievable.
dateable. No man alive has ever said, "Wow, I want to find me a nice liberal woman to raise a family with." But new data is showing how liberalism among women in Western countries is skyrocketing.
Historically, within a generation, men and women have held similar views or ideologies. With Gen Z, for the first time, we're seeing something very different, which is that men and women within Gen Z have very different views of the world, with women being much more progressive and liberal and men being much more conservative. This seems to be a global phenomenon. These charts are from an article that was in the Financial Times yesterday, and they picked a few countries for this particular graphic, but in the article,
In the United States, who votes overwhelmingly Democrat, liberal women? Who votes overwhelmingly for welfare states and more government control? Overwhelmingly women. It's no surprise that a massive segment of the population that has become strong, independent, boss babes, don't need no man, also hopped up on the most pharmaceuticals, also are experiencing unheard of levels of unhappiness, also the ones that need to go into therapy the most, and all the other ills of modernity that's affecting them, going against their biological nature, are the very ones voting for the so-called fascism they're claiming the other side is about. These are the ones empowering the government. These are the ones asking for more regulations, more rules, more punitive measures. It's this specific segment of the population. It's unreal, man, because you realize, it's beneficial to drag the country culturally in a certain direction because that's going to cause more voters in one single direction. Once you realize that, you start to understand why things are going in the way they're going.
they talk about countries pretty much all over the world. On these charts, the x-axis is time and the y-axis is political ideology, with higher on the axis being more liberal and lower on the axis being more conservative. If we look at South Korea, we see a huge gap that's developed over time among men and women between the ages of 18 and 29. And if you look at that red line, you do see women are becoming more progressive and more liberal over time. But really the biggest change is young men becoming much more conservative, especially in the last 5 to 8 years. South Korean women are so fed up with the discrimination against women in their society that they're refusing to get married and they're refusing to have children. That has led them to have the lowest birth rate in the world in 2022 at 0.78 births per woman. There's even a name for this movement, which is called the 4B movement. The 4Bs stand for no dating, no heterosexual sexual relationships, no heterosexual marriage, and no bearing children. South Korea seems to have the biggest divide among Gen Z, but you see a similar pattern right here with the United States, with women becoming more liberal, men becoming more conservative, and the gap widening. And then you also see the same thing with Germany, where again, women are becoming more liberal, men are becoming more conservative, with the gap widening. In the UK, it seems to be that men and women are both becoming more liberal, but women are becoming more liberal more quickly than men, thus
God, UK is just falling. Look at the jump. Unbelievable. They're both becoming, it's barely starting to correct and go conservative for men, but that's probably due to mass migration, honestly. What's left of Englishmen? I have no idea. Where are you guys? Seriously. Where have you gone? Your country is in shambles. Your government, you have a uniparty. Your freedom is like your freedoms, all your rights are being taken away. The once great nation, a once greatest empire on earth, is now becoming a complete clown show for the world to see. Unreal. And if anything, South Korea may be an omen for what's to come in the United States. No matter how porous our southern borders are, you're not going to stop the fact that men will keep trending conservative and women will keep trending liberal because they keep depending more and more on the government for public programs, for DEI, for whatever it is, narratives that are being pushed to benefit them because they benefit from the social programs the most. A man wants to get it on his own. He doesn't want a handout. He wants to work to be his own person and not a slave for somebody else. But women will group together as a collective to benefit all at once, often in very tyrannical fashion by taking away from another group. And you see the radicalization happening from 2010 onward right now in the last 10 years. And we all say this, the last 10 and 15 years, the cultural degeneracy and tribalism has exploded in America. Well, look at where it's really exploded. This graph shows a plus 40, is that percentile increase? That's wild. That is incredible. And down here, it's the same thing. Again, does this seem organic to you that in multiple countries in the West, from about 2009, 2010, we see rapid inorganic rises? This doesn't naturally happen in populations. This isn't distilled down multiple generations. This is when one fell swoop. It was like a plan was enacted and now it's bearing its fruit. And what are the next 10 years going to look like? Because this is accelerating, going parabolic, at least in the United States. It's almost like the UK being a smaller country. Whatever happened here got enacted as a test. We saw the huge success. It just started getting implemented everywhere else, and it took a little bit of time, but now it's catching steam in the United States. And the major divide, you can tell, like, these are probably your college liberal educated, depending on government loans, stipends, all that stuff just to survive, are the ones that are going up in this direction, in this fashion, in this short amount of time. I mean, look at the cultural debates we're having today, just in the last 10, 15 years alone. Some of the questions and debates we're having, you would have been called an insane person if we had them today.
Creating a larger gap.
This spells even more disaster for those kinds of women who are actually looking for a partner or hope to be partnered one day. According to a recent article in the Daily Mail, there's a new survey which shows that MAGA is the leading red flag for 18 to 34-year-old women, while men are turned off by women with political opinions. This is what...
Same. If I'm on dating apps, and I have them fired up now, I automatically just, when I see the profile shows like rainbow flags, if I see it show anything political or mentioning if you vote red or if you vote for Trump or anything, it's automatic next. It just shows me that you are brainwashed, that you can't think for yourself, that you take your cues from social media, from mainstream media, and from celebrity personalities that are being paid by the establishment to push ideas that aren't even your own. You haven't thought for a second for yourself of how I came across this information. Why am I being told this information? How does it affect my life? And is any of this true in the first place? You don't. You just read the headline and you go guilty or not guilty. Or the headline tells you, studies say X, Y, and Z causes X, Y, and Z, and you accept it at face value. You don't see who funded the study. You don't see who stands to benefit from the information, and you do no due diligence whatsoever. You're okay living a perpetual information-fed lifestyle where you question nothing, and you're surprised that this becomes one of the largest, if not the largest, voting demographic in the United States at least, and that our government in turn now, like a mirror, reflects one of the largest voting blocks in that exact same behavior.
What the article says. Among women aged 18 to 34, which includes Gen Z and later millennials, conservative viewpoints tended to be a turnoff. Not caring about politics is a red flag for 50% of women, but talking about any politics will also turn off 23%. And identifying as a liberal is a huge no for 19%. Listening to Joe Rogan will rule a man out as a potential partner for over half of women, with 55% saying that listening to the controversial podcast would be a red flag.
See, and as a man, when you're hearing this, don't think like, wow, they hate Joe Rogan. Think of it like this. Wow, 55% of them literally don't think for themselves. It's not that they listen to Joe Rogan and don't like the content. It's not that they've had past partners that have listened to Joe Rogan, made them listen to it in the car on the way to the gym or a drive to the beach or something like that. No. That's not it. They are being told from like CNN or wherever else, MSNBC or whoever they're getting their news from, that he's guilty of X, he's racist this, he's done that. This is the controversy surrounding him because he's had certain guests on, and now he is a far-right extremist, blah, blah, blah. The accusations go on, and that's it for them. Checked off. Oops, can't like that person. Why? Herd mentality. I was told to. By who? An authoritative source. Will I question it? Nope. Why? Because that's how I'm wired to be, biologically. I don't really question authority because I depend on the group for survival. This is why they're wired that way. It's biology. They're just acting in their own natural interest. Once you understand that it's underpinned in nature in this fashion, you understand why they vote a certain way and why men will vote in another way. This is why capitalism is so good for women anyways, because selling them products is so easy. If you can have a beautiful person, a woman with a handsome man that looks like he has very high status, and you just have to dangle in the commercial, it could be a box of rocks. It doesn't matter. And they have little sparkles and sprinkles on them. And you tell them that these have magical powers with the universe. It ups your vibrational frequency and makes your manifestations times 10 more powerful, making the universe just make all your dreams come true. You will snag a billionaire boyfriend. $999.99. But if you act now, you will get it for $899, get you $100 off. And if you buy another smaller set of rocks for your friend, we will give you that half off. And they'll do girl math and convince themselves that they're saving money and that these boxes of rocks will manifest their billionaire unicorn boyfriend. Why? Because there was a very beautiful woman with a very handsome, wealthy man. It worked for her. And now her testimonial has convinced them that it will happen to them too. You know, playing on somebody's emotions to sell them a box of shit. Who would you find easier to manipulate in that fashion?
About 66% of women said having no hobbies was also a red flag, whether it's knitting, gardening, or golf. Having some hobbies is better than having none, according to the Change Research Survey. So basically, women have no idea what they want. This is total nonsense. The pickup artist guys got something right when they said that if you want to understand a woman, don't listen to what she says, but pay attention to what she responds to. If you actually listen to what modern women say they want, you would be given a different answer every 10 minutes. And God help you if you're one of these Sims who tries to form a personality around what he thinks women want. The article continues with, using the anti-Black Lives Matter phrase, all lives matter, was enough to turn 60% of women off. Saying there are only two genders turns 58% off. Haven't seen the Barbie movie yet? Skipping Greta Gerwig's summer box office smash is a turn-off to 53% of women. Damn. Even your movie preferences are enough to turn a woman off these days. Modern women's dating standards are becoming so surreal that it's almost the plot of a comedy movie. As men, we should probably play the same game. If a woman hasn't seen the movie Gladiator, stand up from your table and leave the restaurant immediately. See how modern women like it when they have to navigate ridiculous dating expectations. So women are increasingly identifying as liberal, and they claim that men who identify as conservative are a turnoff. But here's the thing, women overwhelmingly choose to date men who embody traditional or conservative values. This is yet another example of women saying they want one thing but choosing a completely different thing. As we are seeing now in the dating market, women are increasingly refusing to settle for anything less than a high-quality, high-earning tall man. These women want the absolute best men in society. But do you know what kind of men they are? That's right, these men are conservative. How many liberal men are actually successful without being insufferably pompous assholes? Obviously, destiny doesn't count. So women want the high-quality men, but those men are conservative. This means that women claim to hate conservative, traditional men while still chasing them and hoping to date one. But what kind of women do you think those kinds of men are looking to date? I'll give you a clue. It's not a liberal woman. These kinds of men are looking to date traditional women who will make his lives easier. But modern women refuse to be that kind of woman. This is the thought process in a modern woman's head. She'll say, I don't want to be a traditional woman. And then in the next breath, she'll say, why can't I find a traditional man with my political views? This is what we call woman logic. And I'm not making this up. All over TikTok, women are consistently expressing that they want men to embody traditional values. Let me show you a couple of examples.
Do you want to know one of the saddest realizations I recently had? Was that as a liberal woman, it is
I was just thinking about this chick too.
really hard to find a man who is willing to play the more traditional masculine role in the relationship in today's day and age, who is not a conservative. A man who wants to pay on the first date, who wants to open your door, who has that want and desire to take care of you and to provide, who is not a conservative. And obviously, as a liberal woman, I do want to be respected for my independence. And I do want to have my own autonomy in the relationship and not be confined or conform to the traditional female homemaker, childbearing role. And most of the men that I've dated who do have that more natural provider masculinity about them are normally conservative. So I don't really know what to do because I don't want to compromise my morals.
See, man, this is what I said a long time ago. They want this unicorn man that doesn't exist. They want an alpha male who's going to cater to them and be a beta at the same time. It's just not possible. You can't have both. It's paradoxical. You either have a very soft, timid, spineless man who will do whatever you say, vote the way you want him to vote, and respect your autonomy in a relationship. Or you get a guy that handles his business, is competent, is strong, has his own opinions and boundaries, and will not hesitate to kick your ass to the curb if you don't abide by them. Now, you want a man to protect and provide you in that fashion, then you have to live under his rules. There is no hard, soft boy. It just that stuff doesn't exist. I don't know, like, what TV show has shown this kind of man? Where are they getting this idea from? It has to be distilled down from something. Where do they find this, quote, alpha brooding male that's super masculine, muscular, handsome, capable, has everything going for money, charisma, all of this, but is also a straight simp walking wallet spineless turd for her? Where has this been played in, like, TV show movies? Can anybody explain to me?
Morals and values just to find a man, but am I asking to have my cake and eat it too?
I'm going to tell you what this woman is in a single word. Confused. She's battling cognitive dissonance to such a degree that she clearly can't see how ridiculous she sounds. She says she wants to be independent, but then she proceeds to describe her desire for dependency. You can't make this stuff up.
Guys, I went on a date this week and I felt the feminism leaving my body. I live on the east side of LA, and if you don't know what that means, it's sort of like the artsier part of LA, you know? It's
By the way, look deeper. You see the double-edged sword here in masculinizing women, feminizing men? Because when you bring a masculine man into the general vicinity of even a co-masculinized liberal or whatever new age woman you want, whatever you want to label yourself, they revert back to their feminine ways. They feel the masculine energy. They feel like this man is really a man. He has good energy. He's a protector. He has a good heart. He's very mature. He has everything together. He's very confident. He's not needy. He's aloof in the exact way you need him to be, respectful in the other ways. And that makes you, as a woman, lower the bitch shield, lower your anxiety, stress. You're allowed to relax. You feel safe around this person. It's a great feeling, a feeling a lot of women are lacking today because a lot of the men they run into are feminized men. So this is another way in which this, what could you call it? Ideology, cultural programming, whatever the word you want to use is being reinforced, not only through women, but it's being reinforced by men because of their weakness, because the average man today is weak. Because if every man today was strong, almost none of these women would be going by these ideals, as this one will explain.
people say it's like Brooklyn and New York. Like, so I go on dates with a lot of men and women who, you know, live over here. There's always a negotiation about who pays, and that's great. I like to pay for people, all that. But what I will say is that I sort of fell into going on a date with the most guy's guy I've ever been on a date with. And he's from West, you know, Santa Monica. He's a bro, right? A guy's guy is usually not my type. Like, I cannot remember the last time that I went on a date with like a straight bro, you know what I'm saying? But it befell me. It befell me in an organic fashion. So I'm on this date with this guy, and the thing about a guy's guy is he's putting his card down. He's paying for everything. And I really it sort of activated something feral in me. I'm not gonna lie. We went to like another bar, and he was gonna go to the bathroom. So I was getting prepared to pay for our drinks because he's been paying all night. Of course I'm gonna pay for the next round. But as he's going to leave for the bathroom, he turns to me and he hands me his credit card. And he goes, "Here's my card. Get us whatever." It might be time for me to get away from all these, liberal snowflakes on the east side.
She said that her date befell her in an organic fashion.
Feral, losing control of yourself, wildly attracted. She didn't know what was going on. Butterflies in her stomach. Yeah, man. That's what happens when you meet a real man. Crazy. I've been telling you.
I have absolutely no idea what that statement means. But what I do know is that she absolutely loved it when a man offered to pay for everything, didn't she?
Honey, some of us do not want to date at all, and has nothing to do with whether we think that there are good guys out there or not. Me personally, I think millennial men are not built to be husbands, and they live in a psychosis of monogamy. These men are not monogamous, and I don't want to date a man who tells you he's monogamous and he's not really. I also don't want to date a man and feel like I'm having to prove that I'm good enough for him. In a talking stage, in a dating stage, I just don't want to do that. I'm in my 30s and I'm over it.
Just an update from your 35-year-old best friend in Brooklyn. I actually agree with Max's comment here. Women do hit the wall around 30. Yeah, we've actually been dating so much and we've done so much work on ourselves that we've hit the wall of dating immature, emotionally unavailable, patriarchal, and misogynistic, closed-minded men.
And if you ask her, what does a misogynistic man define misogyny? Define the patriarchal system you're under. How are you oppressed? What is it that you can't do that men are all doing around you? Won't be able to give you a single example. The crazy eyes tell you enough. Thousand cock stare. She has been pumped and dumped and is now post 30 trying to cope with and convince herself of a lonely life that is awaiting her. These are the consequences of your actions. You bought into, this is the face of a woman who's bought into the narrative, social programming of making masculine decisions in life, providing for yourself, discounting having children in a family, and creating a legacy, all for chasing something as superficial as pieces of paper that increasingly have less and less value as we infinitely print more and more to pay our bills. Wow, you sold your soul for $1, and now you have nothing left. You will be accumulating cats. You will be drinking box wine. You will be on TikTok whining about men. And shortly after these videos, you will be making other ones talking about maybe it was a good idea. I should have settled down earlier with the few really good guys I had in my 20s. Why did I listen? Oh my God, all my girlfriends are really awesome and we're all single. What could be the common factor between all of us? I wonder. See, the other side has been telling you what the problems are. You never listen. Because when men have preferences, it's considered misogyny. It's considered repressing women, holding them down. But when women say, I want a man that can do this with a million checklist, it's empowering. But the moment you say, well, I don't want a chick that's fat or too political or liberal or that prefers work over family or, this, that, and the other, all of a sudden, you must hate women. You must, because how dare you, patriarchal pig, have preferences. You must accept me as I am. Fat, a willy, cave troll looking, zero brained, manifesting, crystal rubbing moron. You have to accept me as I am. But you better have 6 feet tall, 6-pack, 6 figures, 7 figures in the banker bore, speak 20 languages. And if I want 50 grand today, you better be able to get it today. And I don't want a man that works at an office. You got to be a billionaire, hardworking, multi-millionaire style man, macho pimp daddy, but also always available for my beck and call. Like, bring me my strawberries, feed me my grapes at the infinity pool that you pay for, whenever, like this, snap of a finger. These guys don't exist. There's no such thing. These women, they never met a successful man in their life. or else they would know that dude's always on the phone making deals, always busy working. The time he does have and he spends with you is very limited. And when you do spend the time and like going in a Louis V store to buy your stupid moronic bag that brings you happiness, because that's how superficial you are as a person, that dude is sitting in that chair on his phone, constantly taking calls, constantly doing shit, and just looking up and going, yeah, that bag's nice. Yeah, that dress is nice. Just get it. And that's the time you spend together. Because money requires work. And these guys, to make the kind of money they're making, are always working. You're looking for a bum that sits on the couch, plays video games all day, is unemployed, does nothing, probably smokes weed. You're looking for that kind of guy that's always there and accessible, because that's the kind of man you can attract. That's all you can attract. That's why you whine about men being losers and not doing shit with themselves, because that's the only man you've ever been around. That's all you know as what a man is. Yet you blanket all of us with, we need to step it up. No, sis, your standards need to be stepped up. That's what it really is. Pick better men. Stop blaming men. There's always going to be the bottom rung that don't do shit. Why are you going swimming in the garbage? Isn't that something? And now men are starting to wake up to the fact that they can have standards. They're allowed to have their own preferences, and that they shouldn't buckle under any circumstances on those. Have your own boundaries. If none of the women you meet those standards, simply next. And if the nation you're living under in the West is becoming increasingly more toxic to you as a man, in your dream of starting a family, next, you leave your nation. You get a passport. You learn some form of skills that's translatable in a remote workplace and get out. Vote with your wallet. Vote with your feet. Do not partake in the system that doesn't care for you back, or anybody that doesn't respect your time and values your investment in them.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to emotionally available partners who can support us and we can support them. So yeah, I'm so glad that, word is spreading. I hope this is the beginning of a revolution.
This woman hit the wall so hard, her eyes are loopy. If you can figure out who she was actually talking to, you deserve a medal. But the truth is, these kinds of women are the standard that you can hope to expect in the West.
Ex-boyfriend.
It's become so bad that when you meet a normal, sane woman, you remember it forever.
Yep.
This is what happened back when I was dating. I was obviously naive at that point in my life, but I did have one experience that showed me something important. I was trying my luck on dating apps and mostly coming across horrific party women who thought that getting drunk all the time counts as a personality. But I came across one woman who has openly expressed that she doesn't like going out and getting drunk. She prefers to take care of her health and spend time with family while only going out once a month. At the time, I thought she was lying. And later on, I thought I caught her in the act. A week after I met her, I asked her what she was doing. She said that she was out with friends. I imagined her being drunk and sloppy with her friends until I asked her where she was. She was at a cooking class. I hit the jackpot. But sadly, these kinds of women are so incredibly rare these days.
Incredibly rare, man. And here's the dangers of using dating apps as a man. You begin to get like a warped view on what women are, because so many of people on dating apps are absolute garbage. So when you do meet a decent woman and she does go out with the girlfriends, you expect the worst. Or if she posts herself like on a road trip or, on vacation or something, you're going to expect like, oh yeah, who paid for that vacation? Who is she getting railed by, et cetera, et cetera. And then you see like, oh, she's on vacation with her mom because her and her mom are really close. Or she's on vacation with the family as a whole and she's posting like family pictures. Or she went out with the girls to a baby shower or something, celebrating somebody's birthday at somebody's house, cooking and baking and doing all this stuff. And it blows you away like, wow. And then you start to pick up on certain things, like most of these people who with the best self-esteem, the highest sense of self-worth, that aren't damaged, don't post often on social media. Most of their pictures are usually with family, or a lot of their pictures they're not the focus of, like narcissistic people are. Most of their pictures are of things or of family and not them as the focal point. They do respond back quickly, and they don't play games where they wait for a certain amount of time to respond back like some children. When you set up dates, they're very cordial and punctual when they meet you. They don't delay. They're not like, oh, sorry, 15 minutes. No, they're there on time as should be. They keep you posted. Or if, and this is a big one that you notice, because life gets in the way, man. Everybody has to work today to make a living. And a lot of these, girls with the self-esteem that I mentioned work for their families to help their families out. They may be genuinely busy. You may mistake that as being blown off or flaked on for another guy. No, they genuinely have to work, and they will quickly right away apologize and say, this happened to me. And they've said, I'm so sorry. I have to reschedule. Work has just been so crazy, and can we please do this another day? When is the next day you're available? And then literally reschedule it right then and there. There's no getting blown off or ghosted like some small mentally handicapped simpleton would do to you. No, man. You're talking with adults who have boundaries, but healthy childhoods, and understand their value in the world and what the partners they're looking for. And if you're too much on these dating apps, you may ruin your opportunity in meeting these kinds of women, because something as simple as having to reschedule, you may take it as they're not interested. Because if she was really interested in me, she would do everything she can to meet me on the first night, which is a half-truth. It is. They would do everything. Mature women have shit going on. And that is something you got to be mindful of. So be careful. Don't act like you can indulge and engage in this kind of hookup culture, dating culture, and not be affected by it, because you will and you are. Anyways, let's see what some of the comments say in this video. There's a reason why taking true accountability is called manning up. I had to break, this is crazy. I had to break it off with my woke girlfriend because the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. She went absolutely crazy, and she still hasn't recovered. I don't know about other men, but I've stopped trying to find modern women. They're never worth the effort. Women are shocked that men have a choice. Men have boundaries, and women need to respect them. And this one says, felt feminism leaving my body equals waking up to the truth. Too bad she revealed herself to be too shallow. Indeed. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see you on the next one. Appreciate everybody that buys some shirts. Take care, everybody. Hope you're having a blessed start of your week, and we'll see you on the next